Good morning. Well, morning in my area. Hey, you guys, thanks for joining me for today's Q&A. A little bit of questions, a little bit of answers, right? Offering you an opportunity to ask your question and I'll answer it when in regards to some of the available truck driving positions that we have, as well as all things Decker. So welcome to today's Q&A. We go live every Tuesday at noon Central here on our YouTube channel. And again, if you have questions, put them in the chat between myself and Katie, who's behind the scenes. You'll see her behind the scenes there. We will be answering your questions. So if you're wondering about available positions, how much it pays, what the running lanes are, what benefits or equipment we have, that's all what we're going to be discussing today. So welcome. It is the 28th of November, right? Yes, already. So it's the 28th of November. We are just coming really quick up onto December. And some of the available positions that we have here at Decker are over the road, some regional, and we do have a couple of dedicated positions. Now, I do want to make sure that you're aware of where those dedicated positions are so that you aren't applying for them when you live in, say, Arizona or Alabama. The dedicated positions are currently in Fort Dodge. Oh, I think it's just you. Can you guys hear me? I'm showing that I have mic. It might be you. Let me know if you guys can hear me. But yeah, I've got, okay, good. So I've got a dedicated position. It's in Fort Dodge, Iowa. You do need to live within a 25-mile radius of Fort Dodge in order to qualify for that. So as always, you guys, if you have questions, either put it in the chat or if you want to speak to a recruiter directly, you can call them now at 877-433-2537. This is live right now, but if you are watching the replay, which is afternoon on the 28th, then you can call between the hours of 7 and 5 o'clock Central Time. So hope that helps. Okay, awesome. Welcome again. This dedicated position out of Fort Dodge, Iowa, it is a hopper position. It's local. It is swap seating or switch seating. So it isn't a truck that you're moving into like any of our regional or over the road positions. This one is assigned to multiple people. It is a day cab versus one of our sleeper cabs. So it doesn't have all the amenities like the refrigerator and the microwave and the TV and all of the goodies that come along with our over-the-road sleeper trucks. But it is very well maintained. Like I said, we do keep our trucks, they're newer model trucks, but it is well maintained and it has to be because that sucker's working back and forth from Fort Dodge, Iowa to Blair, Nebraska and back on a regular basis. So usually twice a day. We do have a couple of different positions or a couple of different times available for that position. We have a 6:30 a.m. as well as a 5 p.m., I believe. Let me just confirm that. But we do have two positions available for this dedicated hopper truck. And again, it goes back and forth from Fort Dodge, Iowa to Blair, Nebraska. It does pay per shift, not mileage pay, so it's a little bit different than some of our other positions. And the per shift pays $2.25 for Monday through Friday, and this again is for the day shift because we do have a different one for the night shift. The evening shift will pay $2.50 per shift versus the $2.25. Now, that's Monday through Friday. On the Saturday and Sunday runs, it goes up to $2.50 and $2.75 per shift. So you do get a little bit more when you're running on the weekends. This is a rotating schedule. So you're looking at 2 days on, followed by 2 days off, 3 days on, followed by 3 days off, and then back to the 2 on, 2 off, 3 on, 3 off rotation. So back and forth between those. And let me just confirm here. Yes, we have a 6:30 a.m., which pays the $2.25 Monday through Friday and $2.50 on Saturday, Sunday. And then the 5:30 p.m. shift pays $250 Monday through Friday and $275 on Saturday and Sunday. So once again, that's 2 days on, followed by 2 days off, 3 on, 3 off. So that rotation brings you home for a 3-day weekend about every third weekend. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of the runs for that one. Again, hopper position. If you don't have experience, we can train you. If you live in the Midwest, we have a lot of opportunities, mostly because we can train in the Midwest versus some of our other areas in our over-the-road flatbed. We do require a minimum of 6 months of experience before we can train you in the flatbed. Let me rephrase that. We do require a year of tractor trailer experience before we can train you in the flatbed for our over-the-road flatbed division. But again, if you live in areas of the Midwest where we offer flatbed, we have training that for our regional positions. So yes, you can have a minimum of 6 months of experience, or even being a recent graduate of an approved school, we can then bring you in for an extended orientation. So instead of a 3-day orientation, it's a week-long orientation, followed by 2 to 3 weeks with a trainer. Actually, followed by load securement, tarpon load securement training, and then followed by 2 to 3 weeks with a trainer. We are limited on our trainers. Obviously, you can only have a certain number when it comes to available people. So we do currently have a waiting list for our training positions. That doesn't mean that you won't want to get in, talk to a recruiter, get approved ahead of time, especially if you're looking to start at the beginning of the year. If you are a recent graduate and you want to get started as soon as the new year comes, contact our recruiting department. We don't want you pushing that out for 3 or 4 months and then from your graduation date, because when that happens, you're basically starting from scratch. You learn something in a short period of time, and then all of a sudden you haven't utilized any of it, and then you're basically having to start over. So the sooner we can get you into our training opportunities, the better for you. Plus, we do pay for training. Not only do we pay for training, but we also pay for orientation. So this is what it looks like. I kind of dove in today head first. So if you guys want to stop me and ask questions, like I said, just put it in the chat. I'd be happy to stop what I'm talking about and address your questions. But in the meantime, let's start talking about the hiring process and what that's all about, what we have to offer. So the hiring process is, for a student, is a little bit longer than somebody who is an experienced driver. A student is going to obviously need to complete 160 plus hours of training, of schooling, before you can obtain your Class A CDL. So once you've done that, then we will go through making sure that you don't have any tickets or moving violations that would disqualify you, meaning no major moving violations, no DOT recordable accidents that are preventable within the last 3 years. Those are things that you can't have in the last 3 years. If you do qualify and you're at least 21 years of age and you do qualify, then we will set you up to start running reports, getting employment verifications. And yes, even though you're new to the industry, we're still required to get a 3-year employment verification. So we will go ahead and get all of that, do the legwork there for you once you have spoke to a recruiter and made sure that the position you're wanting is available and that we can train for it. So then we will go through the hiring process that way. Once you're approved, we'll determine what day you'll be starting. And again, that's based off of availability for our available trainers. And orientation starts on a Monday. It's a full 5 days for, again, students. So if you're popping on right now, it's a 3-day orientation for experienced drivers, but a week-long for orientation for inexperienced drivers, so students. So you've got a week of orientation. But before you even get to Fort Dodge for orientation, and yes, orientation is in Fort Dodge, Iowa, we will take care of your transportation here, either by flight or we'll get you a rental car, whichever is easier. And we'll pay for the flight, we'll pay for the rental car. get you here. We'll take care of your hotel and your meals while you're here. But before all of that, you'll need to complete the online orientation. We'll send you a link. It's a series of videos followed by questions, and then you just kind of repeat the process until you've completed it. It does take a little bit of time, but it cuts off at least a day, probably a day and a half of orientation just by having you take care of that ahead of time. Once you've completed that, and as well as getting your DOT physical and your drug screen. The DOT physical, if you have a current one that you did during school and it's good for a full year or at least another 6 months, so a full year total, then that usually will get approved. You just need to send in your long form. We'll take a look at it. We'll have our compliance department sign off on it so that you don't have to redo another physical. But of course, you'll have to do a new DOT urinalysis that's required by DOT. So you'll do the urinalysis, and yes, we can go schedule that for you. We'll schedule and pay for that. You just need to let your recruiter know where you're at in case you're in a different location at the time of a different location from your application at the time we need to set up that urinalysis. And by the time, so the DOT physical and the urinalysis, we can, if you need both of them done, we can set them up for the same time, and that's ideal. Otherwise, we'll just set up the urinalysis and use your current physical. Once you arrive in Fort Dodge, you will have a driving test, not immediately, but you'll arrive on Sunday night, check into your hotel. We do not shack you up with anybody. These are solo rooms, so you've got your own space. When you're done with orientation each night or each day, you can come back to the hotel and unwind, just relax in your own space. To me, that's a big deal. I don't know if it's a big deal to you, but if you're a student or even an experienced driver, you usually want your own space. And yes, when you're with a trainer, it's a different story, but here at the hotel, you're in your own space. All right, back to my tasks here. So we've got orientation. You're coming in, you'll do your driving test probably on Tuesday, but you'll have your driving test, and then you'll also have the hair follicle is usually on Monday. So the hair follicle test, we do 2 drug tests, the urinalysis and the hair follicle. So those are the urinalysis is before you get here, and the hair follicle is once you have arrived in Fort Dodge. So all of that is done during the orientation process, but it dives even deeper into Decker and what we have available and what the process is and the procedures are when you're going to a shipper or a receiver, or if you're getting a fuel routing, what our bonus structure is and our communication style. All of this is covered in our orientation. It's a very thorough orientation, and because of that, you're probably going to have questions. Ask the questions. We are not about ignoring questions or pushing them to the side. If you have them, please ask. It's the only way you're going to find out. And odds are, if you have the question, there's probably somebody else in the group that also has a question. So please ask, and please don't be afraid to do it. We have a great group of trainers. Elaine will get you through the process. Tanner will keep you laughing. I mean, it's a good group of people that'll take good care of you. While you're here, we also take care of your lunches. And whether we're bringing them in or having them catered, or if we're bringing you out for it, we'll take care of the lunches while you're here. And then, what else? You'll also meet with several different management or different departments. You'll meet with our safety department. You'll meet with safety and compliance. You'll meet with Janelle, and she'll go over the fuel routing and how that works and the communication back and forth there. You'll also meet with the maintenance department. The maintenance department is usually later on in the week because they will go through all of the details of running the APU unit and actually step by step of the different amenities that are in the truck, and kind of go through a checklist with you when you're introduced to it. And you'll have a checklist if you're a student, you'll have a checklist when you're assigned a truck as well as when you're kind of going through the introduction and orientation. You'll also meet with a driver manager. You'll meet with your recruiter who will then introduce you to the driver manager and so forth. But that's basically the process of orientation. Katie will step in and she'll fill you in on some of the communication methods that we have, which are quite a bit. We know that not everybody is on social media. We recognize that. We do provide emails. Every week, we'll provide you a newsletter to keep you in the loop on what's going on, whether it's the end of open enrollment, which is currently going on until Friday, right? Yeah, I gotta remember what day. No, until Thursday. See, I don't even know what date it is. So the 30th is the end of open enrollment. So anyways, for our benefits, but that's some of the stuff that she'll go over. We have several social media accounts. We have Instagram, Facebook group that we have, as well as a driver Facebook group that is regulated by some of our professional drivers. We have TikTok and YouTube and Pinterest, and we have a podcast. So we have several different social media outlets, LinkedIn, X. So we do work with several of them. So if you're wanting updates, you can go to those to see them. But the newsletter is fantastic. You receive it every single week, and it gives you the most up-to-date information. And of course, these Q&As are every week, whether you're on our Facebook page or here on YouTube, we offer them every week to you as well, to make sure that if you were wondering about some update, you can provide that right here live, or we can provide that information for you right here live, instead of having to search through all kinds of things. Plus, we have the intranet. Speaking of searching through, the intranet provides you the whole company policy manual. I was trying to think of the word. The whole manual for the company policies, whether you're in refrigerated or flatbed owner-operator company. It's all there. So for you to look over, you can print it out if you want, but you can just download it. So if there's any updates to it, you'll know because it'll be dated accordingly. There's what else? We have the intranet. We have our mobile comm, so we'll communicate back and forth through the truck. So if you've got the tablet, you can go ahead and look through that, through the communications that way. You can communicate through with your driver manager, either by phone or through the mobile comm as well. There's quite a few ways to communicate or to reach out to us. We offer suggestion emails. We do have the cards for when you're coming in for the maintenance for either an A or B service. You can fill that out, or please fill that out, I should say. Please fill that out, because if there's anything that you notice that is, quirky about the truck, we want to make sure that we're taking a look at it. When I say we, I'm saying our certified maintenance techs, not me, because they will be thorough in the process and they will make sure that it is working properly. They do a fantastic job. Speak to any of our professional drivers and you will find out that they do a great job of taking care of the trucks for our drivers, keeping them safe and working properly. They are newer model trucks. We'll dive into that in here in just a sec as we kind of wrap up the whole orientation process. But for a student, it's a $500 orientation pay. With that week long of orientation, you get paid on Fridays, so you'll get paid when you've completed that orientation. And then when you're with a trainer for 2 to 3 weeks, you'll go out with a trainer for 2 to 3 weeks. We pay you $700 a week to complete training. Okay, and depending on how far out you are on your last run, it could be pushing that 3-week period, or it could just be right in the 2-week period. That's usually what determines it. But it's 2 to 3 weeks with a trainer, $700 a week. Once you've completed training, depending on whether or not you're in flatbed or refrigerated, you'll either start off at 55 cents a mile. Yes, 55 cents a mile just coming out of school and training. 55 cents a mile in the refrigerated, 56 cents a mile in the flatbed. Now you'll get a penny raise you'll consistently get a penny raise at your 90-day mark, and then annually after that as well. So that will be consistent. And then we also have for our experienced drivers, so I'm going to stop there and just kind of back up a little bit. For our experienced drivers, it's just a 3-day orientation. It does pay $500 a week, or $500 for the week of orientation, which again, it's just the 3 days. But then you'll also have that minimum pay that'll pop up there as well. So we have a minimum pay depending on the division that you're in. So that's what the information you want to get from your recruiter. You can get that information from me on what's available, what minimum pays are available in your area by just throwing in your zip code there. But yeah, that is available. And as an experienced driver, you also qualify for the sign-on bonus, which is currently a $2,000 sign-on bonus, pays out in 4 installments. I almost said 5. 4 installments at first dispatch, 60 days, 90 days, and 180 days. So you'll get $500 on each one of those. So that is the sign-on bonus. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I'm missing for, students. If you guys are coming directly from a school, which if you're a student, that's probably the case, we do a reimbursement. So we'll reimburse up to $6,000. Once you've been here for 90 days, we pay you $200 a month until up to $6,000 total. So if it was just $5,500 for your course, then it would just be a reimbursement of $5,500. But it's $200 per month is how that pays out. Because you've already taken care of the financials on that, we're just reimbursing you. So that is available for new students. Orientation, once you're done with orientation, your rate of pay per mile is going to be based off your experience level. So it'll go up in increments that way. Hey, George, how are you? Yes, the policy handbook is pretty darn handy, having that on the internet. We also provide a lot of that information as not only on the internet, but also on or within our Facebook group for our drivers. It makes life a little bit easier for them to find it, because not everybody, people forget where a lot of these resources are. Katie does a phenomenal job of linking and sharing them throughout our Facebook group, and of course, when people are asking, I can get them the link to find it directly, or even upload it directly for them. But yeah, whether you're reaching out through Messenger or comments, we'll make it accessible to you so it's easier to find. Same with the benefits. Now, our benefits, currently we're in open enrollment. So the open enrollment ends on Thursday, the 30th. Yes, I confirmed that Thursday is the 30th. And open enrollment will close then. Everything that you changed, if you're a current professional driver here at Decker, anything that you made changes on will go into effect on the 1st of the year. So January 1st, 2024. Now, if you are a current driver and you haven't yet started your benefits, and you've been here for a month or so, or maybe you've been here just coming on 2 months, your benefits start at 60 days. So they won't wait until the 1st of the year to start if you're due to start on, say, the 15th of December. They'll start then. But any changes here on out, like if you made changes today, those wouldn't go into effect until the 1st of the year. Hopefully that makes sense. Open enrollment is usually 2 to 4 week period during, I think it's just usually a 2 week period during November that will affect your following year. And it's annual, but it's only one time throughout the year. And of course, if you had a life-changing event, that would open up an opportunity or an open enrollment for you. But other than that, that's usually how it works. What else can I tell you? Benefits. Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's an 80-20 plan. Again, starts after 60 days. We have dental and vision, Avision and Delta Dental. And all that coverage is available online, as well as us providing it to you. So if you have specific questions, just let us know. And there's a lot of details available on some of the new benefits that we offer, like Regenix and FedLogic. So there's quite a bit. Hey, Jason, how are you? So Jason's asking about Well, let's see, where are you at? 4501. Let's see. We do have several options out of there. So you're out of Ohio. Are you looking for refrigerated or flatbed? So Jason and I have a home weekly refrigerated option. I also have over the road refrigerated options. I also have home weekly flatbed as well as over the road flatbed options. I have 6 years of flatbed, he said. Okay, so perfect. Let's take a look at flatbed. I can get you home on a weekly basis in the flatbed division. And with 6 years of experience, you'd start at 65 cents a mile. 10 cents of that is per diem. So you're not taxed on 10 cents a mile. So keep that in mind. And any raises and stuff, that's going to be in addition to that 65 cents, not included in that. Same with the bonuses. With the 65 cents a mile, you'll either get the rate of pay per mile and the miles, or the minimum that, like the safety net, that's $14.50 a week. So you know you're going to make at least $1,450 a week. There's criteria, of course, that you need to meet in order to make that minimum safety net or your mileage pay. But again, the safety or the minimum requirements are be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. When it's flatbed, it's Monday through Friday. No driver service failures, so no late loads, no load refusals. That's part of the minimum pay, and no CSA violations for the week, no preventable accidents for the week. Oh, get your paperwork in on time. Why is that the one that I always struggle to remember? Hopefully you don't. But it's $14.50 a week, minimum pay, and again, 65 cents a mile based off of your 6 years of experience. 10 cents of that's per diem. You will get a penny raise after 90 days. You will also get a penny raise every year on your anniversary until you hit the cap. Currently, the cap is at 70 cents a mile. So by the time you hit that, you don't know, maybe that'll be up higher than that. Jason asks, let me try again. Jason asks, do you run contracted freight? The spot market has been horrible. We do run contracted freight, but we also have a logistics company, Decker Logistics, that we can work with as well, that will cover areas that maybe those contracts aren't heavy in. So our contracted freight is about 96 to 99%. I think in flatbed, it's about 96%. In the refrigerated division, it's even higher. But yeah, in flatbed, you're looking at about 96%. That's contracted freight. And that's why we can offer that minimum pay of $14.50, because we know we've got freight available. You're right though, with the spot market, the miles and the freight that's available is definitely different than what it was in 2020 or 2021. I mean, completely different type of freight that was back then. But with the contracted freight, that obviously helps significantly. So keeps us safe. Very stable company that's been around since 1931. And some of the customers that we had back then, we still have now, which is, obviously a reflection of the number of contracts that we have. George says $14.50 week minimum for flatbed division. Is that the same for the reefer division? No, that isn't. Great question. The refrigerated division it depends on which one you're looking at, but most of our refrigerated divisions are $1,000 minimum pay. If you're looking at one that's getting you home every 5 days, that's a $700 minimum pay versus the $1,000 minimum pay. But for flatbed, for this specific position, meaning where Jason lives, he's in an area that has prime freight, prime quality freight, like real heavy freight wise. Now a lot of those runs, Jason, are going to be shorter runs. So don't expect a 1,000-mile run in that division that with the minimum pay of $14.50. You're probably not going to get a lot of 1,500-mile runs, 1,100, something like that. They're going to be shorter runs, but we'll stack them. So again, you'll have the rate of pay per mile or that minimum amount, that $14.50, whichever is the better of the two. You want to make sure that you meet your minimum requirements, so you've got that $14.50 security net, right? But if your mileage your rate of pay and the miles that you run exceed the $14.50, you'll get that one instead. So we want to make sure that you're getting the better of the two. But good question, George. The refrigerated pay and the flatbed pay are different. Not only the cents per mile, but also the minimum pays on it. Yeah. Jason says, I live next to a K steel, so it would probably be coils. We do coils. Yes, absolutely. Sheetrock, steel beams, or wallboard, steel beams, coils, building supplies, really, that's the majority of our flatbed work. So yeah, yep. You see the trucks there all the time. Yes, you probably do. Now, keeping that in mind, for those of you who aren't familiar, we do a lot of tarping and a lot of securement. That's why that's reviewed during or following orientation, making sure that you can secure the truck or the trailer. And we also, especially when you're first starting, we'll have you take pictures of your securement and send them over to the fleet manager, safety, so that you're basically double checking yourself. You're saying, I've got it, I did this, this, and this, good, you've met the requirements. And we'll walk through several, not only walk through, but hands-on. We'll show you, we'll demonstrate, and then we'll have you go hands-on and tarp and secure, especially if you're new to it. Now, Jason's a little bit different here. You're experienced, but probably still have you run through the flatbed course, the tarping and securement course, to show that, yes, you have it. Here's just like a driving test. You just wouldn't have to do the full-blown course. And you wouldn't have to go out with a trainer, because obviously 6 years of experience. Nice trucks too, he says. Yes, our trucks, they're beautiful. And I really should have some of them on here. Maybe I do. Let me show off some of our trucks. Oh, it helps if I actually show you. Here are some of them. Not all of my pictures are of the same size, so you're gonna see some large ones, you'll see some small ones. Hopefully they all fit on the page, but they are absolutely beautiful trucks. You'll see some beautiful country along the way. All of these pictures that I'm showing you are from our professional drivers, and you guys take the best pictures anyway. Well, Paul Gibson takes some pretty darn good ones as well, but these are all our professional drivers who have taken these pics, and they're submitted to our calendar. So we have a calendar contest, and we are just finishing up choosing the winners. So if you may have received a call from us here recently. But anyways, these are our trucks. They are mostly the 579 Peterbilts. This is Jesse Carter's picture. I absolutely love this picture. They're mostly the 579 Peterbilts. We have some Volvos and a few Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions as well, but most of them are the 579 Peterbilts. In those Peterbilts and the Volvos and the Freightliners, they have APUs, refrigerators, microwaves, CB units. We have navigation, part of our TransFlow Geotab system that we have in the trucks. The television, did I say we have televisions? We have a 22-inch TV, and that 22-inch TV is a smart TV. So you can log in and do, like the Netflix and all that good stuff. It also has, so you can get Wi-Fi from the tablet as well for that if you're a gamer. I know there's a couple of them. It's not the fastest, I gotta admit that. It is definitely not the fastest speed. Some people have faster than others, but it's there. So we do have free Wi-Fi. But back to the TV, it's a smart TV. It's 100 plus channels. It's through Epic View satellite TV programming. Decker provides it. It does also come with HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and the Sunday ticket. So in time for orientation. So Jason has a couple other questions. Let me make sure that I get to these. The vacation program. Our vacations for our new drivers, it's 1 week after 6 months. So after 6 months, you'll get 1 week. You'll get a second week, so you'll get another week after 1 year. So 6 weeks and then 1 year, you'll get a week orientation. You'll get a week vacation on each of those. And then you'll have 2 weeks vacation available to you after 3 years. And you'll have 3 weeks vacation available to you after 7 years. So I'm going to go year by year just to make sure that we're all on the same page. 6 months, 1 week. 1 year, 1 week vacation. 2 years, one week vacation. 3 years, 2 weeks vacation. 4 years, 2 weeks vacation. 5 years, 2 weeks vacation. 6 years, 2 weeks vacation. 7 years, 3 weeks vacation, and so forth. There we go. Just didn't want you thinking that you only get it on the 2nd and 7th year of being here. Okay, the 380, George says the 389s are my favorite. You know what? You just give me a hard time, George. I totally agree with you. The 389s are beautiful. Those are assigned, they're earned. So someone who's been here over 15 years, they get to spec their trucks. So those are our veteran drivers. So they get to spec their trucks, and some of those are manuals, but they're usually the 389s. They're absolutely gorgeous. They come with more chrome. I like chrome, so I imagine most of you do. If you've got good taste, you like the chrome. So no, they're great trucks. The only thing about the 389s versus the 579s is that the 389s don't have as much room in them. They don't have as much storage. Our trucks are double bunk. I don't know if I mentioned that, but our trucks are double bunk. But again, the storage space, the size of the sleeper is bigger in the 579s. But yeah, they do look pretty darn cool. Jason said, would orientation be in Fort Dodge? Yes, orientation would be in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And again, we would get your transportation there, whether it be rental car or flight or whatever's easier. We can't fly directly into Fort Dodge, but we would fly you into probably Des Moines and then get a rental car from there. Otherwise, usually we just do rental cars. That seems to be most people's preference. Orientation for you, though, Jason, would be a 3-day orientation versus a week-long orientation. But you'll have orientation, like an online orientation, before arriving in Fort Dodge. So you have that as well. By the way, if you haven't already, this is the number, the 877-433-2537. That's the telephone number to our recruiting department, and they will, not only can they answer a lot of your questions, but you can get the application in, kind of get the process rolling. Get the ball rolling, the wheels, I should probably say wheels rolling. That's more pun intended. You can apply online at drivedecker.com. Drivedecker.com. Michael, how are you? I have a friend who was asking about Decker zip code. Yes, sir. 62864. I always get nervous when someone's referring someone because I'm like, what if I don't have anything available there? And then I feel like I'm not supporting you. But we do. We have something there. So we have flatbed out of there. Michael, we have the $14.50, so the minimum $14.50 pay. And if your friend doesn't have flatbed experience, but they're interested in learning, we will train them for that flatbed division. So yeah, absolutely. I do want to, okay, Jason says, I'm filling out my application now. Yeah, on 10th Street. Perfect. Piece of cake. That's fantastic. When it comes to referrals, I do want to hit on that a little bit because we do have a referral program. I don't talk about it a lot, and it is addressed, however, during our orientation process or not process, but in the orientation itself, because a lot of our drivers, when you're happy somewhere, people are asking, what do they have? Why do you like it there? Anyways, the referral program, it pays $1,500 per driver you refer who hires on. So in this case, Michael, if you refer this driver, you'll get $1,500. It pays out in 4 settlements on their first dispatch, and then after they've been here for 30, 60, and 90 days. So there's 4 settlements. It's $250 on first dispatch, $250 after 30 days, and then $500 at both 60 and 90 days. Your whole $1,500 referral bonus is paid out within 90 days. Same goes as, and Michael, you know this, but same goes for the more drivers you have. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 drivers, it's $1,500 per driver. If you refer within a calendar year, if you refer 4 or 5 drivers, you'll get $2,000 for the 4th and 5th driver. So an extra $500 for each of them. If you refer 6 or more, you'll get $2,500 per driver above, 6 or more. So, and yeah, I mean, obviously those installments still pays out within 90 days. So those installments increase, but there's still 4 and it still pays out within 90 days. So that's just part of it though, because as or part of our referral program, you'll get business cards, which makes life a little easier. Once you get the business cards, it's kind of like, oh, referring is easy because I may not have time to talk to them right now, but I can just hand them my card, they can give me a call, and I can answer their questions. That's a great referral because then they can come back to you and be like, hey, I got some questions, help me out. Okay, so you've got that. You also get a tumbler, like a coffee tumbler. You get a tumbler, you get a $100 gift card. These are at different levels, by the way. You'll get a referral jacket if you've had 5 or more within the calendar year. And every time you refer somebody, your name is entered into the quarterly bonus. So this is a quarterly drawing, not bonus, quarterly drawing. And you have an opportunity to win a tablet, a laptop, or cash. You get to choose. Or $1,000. It actually goes direct deposit. So, but you get to choose. And that, so far, everybody's chosen the money. Don't blame you. But yeah, that's every quarter. So if you had 2 referrals for quarter 2, your name will be in there twice instead of just once. And then it starts over in quarter 3. It's just those who referred, who were not only referred, but hired on within quarter 3. So if they were referred in quarter 2, but didn't hire on until quarter 3, it would fall under the quarter 3. But yeah, there's lots to that. And if you are the top referrer, and you've referred more than 5 or more, in the calendar year, then you're in the running for the grand champion position. And this is the grand champion of referral. That's an extra $2,500. So if you've referred 5 or more drivers and you're the top referrer, that's $11,000 in bonuses alone. And that's not counting if you got a quarterly bonus. There's money to be made in the referrals. So yes, definitely good. Good. Yes, Michael, please let them know. And like I said, we have that 1450. We also have the over-the-road flatbed. And we have, home weekly as well, where it's not the 1450, but that doesn't make sense to not be part of that. That one. Yeah. Shameless Trucking says 83530. Where are we at? 83530. Let me plug that in here. I don't have anything out of there. Where is that? Idaho, Grangeville. That is a tough spot, getting onto Highway 12 there. I don't have anything out of Grangeville. We do hire, so Missoula is one of our terminals. Orientation is always in Fort Dodge, though. We don't have orientation in Missoula, but anybody who lives in Montana has to leave the tractor and trailer in Missoula on the home time. If that's something that you're interested in, then I would reach out to a recruiter and see if that's available. Otherwise, Grangeville is not a good spot for us, especially having to get the extra permits there on Highway 12. But if you, and I can understand this, but if you're looking to bring the truck home with you, then yeah, I know that one wouldn't work. How much, Trucking with Rome is asking, I'll get to your question real quick here, Jace, let me answer this one. Trucking with Rome, 28801. So I have flatbed out of there, is that North Carolina? Yeah. Okay, so right there in North Carolina, I do have flatbed. I have a home weekly option, but I also have the over-the-road option. It does require at least 6 months of flatbed experience or 1 year of tractor trailer. If you don't have flatbed experience, but you're interested in going into it, but you have a year of tractor trailer, we can then train. We just wouldn't be able to train if you only had 6 months of tractor trailer. Okay, so again, that number is 877-433-2537 to the recruiters, or drivedecker.com, put an application in, and the recruiters will give you a call. I was going to say hunt you down, but that doesn't sound very nice. Jason says, how much of the Northeast does Decker run? Not a lot. We do run it sometimes, but it's few and far between. For instance, well, you're talking flatbed. We don't really do it. Who was I talking to yesterday said in 2 years with Decker, he's gone up to the Northeast once. And I know we've got people that have never been up into the Northeast with us. So yeah, we don't do a whole lot. Now, to give you and especially Jason, in the one that you and I were talking about, for the 1450, you're probably not going to go east of Pittsburgh. I wouldn't expect you to, at least. Most of your runs are going to be Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, a little bit of PA, but not a lot. You'll see southern Wisconsin. You'll see southern Minnesota. Maybe you'll go up into probably Green Bay, Wisconsin, so you'll see other areas. But southern Michigan as well. Those are the areas that you would see most often. Iowa, St. Louis, Missouri, maybe into Kentucky a little bit. But yeah, I don't expect to see you run up into the Northeast. Now, that said, to answer your question for some of the other divisions, we do have a refrigerated contract that goes into the southwest part of New York. Not a lot of loads go into there, but I know that it is a contract that goes into that southern corner there. But we don't do a lot of the New England states or New York. When it comes to our over-the-road flatbed division, we run mostly east of Denver, so we really don't run out west. And it's a lot of the Midwest. Really, any of our divisions, it's very heavy within the Midwest. And then, of course, Texas, Oklahoma, those are very busy areas. But Jason, again, with that 1450 position, that one I don't expect to see you running south into Oklahoma or Texas. That's more in the upper Midwest for you. Then we also have for our over-the-road flatbed, we do a lot in the Southeast, anywhere from Texas to the Carolinas. That, however, I don't want to mislead you here. So trucking with Rome, being out of Asheville, even though we can get you home on a weekly basis, you're still going to run the Midwest. And the reason that's so important to know, I almost fell off my thing here. The reason that's so important to know is that if you're not used to winter driving, you'll be doing winter driving. The Midwest, I know it's not mountains, but it's still winter driving. There's still icy roads and lots of wind, and I'd just be prepared. Whether or not you're chaining is up to you. You're the professional. We are taking your eyes and your ability. We're allowing you to make that decision, of course, but you need to know how to chain. You need to know how to chain to get yourself out of trouble. Don't use it to get into trouble. Use it to get out of trouble. So if you're an over-the-road refrigerated driver, and I do recognize that we only have flatbed in your area, but if for all of our over-the-road refrigerated drivers who do run out west, you're required to carry chains from the 1st of September to the 31st of May. Because it could happen. And you're using them to get out of trouble. Not into it. That's my preaching. But be prepared. If you're not used to Midwest weather or Northwest weather, then you need to make sure that you have extra supplies, non-perishable goods, extra water. You'll want to make sure that you have heavy blanket and heavy coat. Don't come up to Fort Dodge for orientation and come with a light jacket. I promise you that will not do. You might get lucky and have beautiful weather while you're here. And beautiful weather for this time of year is probably in the 40s. That's nice weather for right now. But it gets below zero. And for those of you who aren't used to that type of weather, I'm not kidding. That's very normal, whether you're in the Northwest. And we only run the Northwest in the over-the-road refrigerated, by the way. But if you're in the Northwest or even in the Midwest, Cold weather is out there, so be prepared. And you guys might be laughing at me saying, thank you, Captain Obvious, for the lightweight jacket advice not being enough. But that's my point is that when you're coming from the south, you don't always know that. You don't realize that those puffy Carhartt jackets are the bee's knees, right? Yeah, I just dated myself there, didn't I? All right. That's what I was going to say. That reminds me as well. This time of year, you need to make sure that you're treating your fuel. Please make sure that you're treating your fuel. I don't care if you're using Centene or Penray or maybe even a different type of Anagel, but make sure you're putting the additive in. If you're coming from the south, especially if you're coming from the south, your fuel is not usually treated like it is in the Midwest or the Northwest. We know that our temperatures get frigid, and so we have to make sure that the diesel is treated. And what that means is that you're putting the additive in there. If you, for one bottle, and every bottle's a little bit different, every brand's a little bit different, I should say. So if you're using a brand that's good for 50 gallons, then you're going to need a couple. If you're using one that's good for 200, again, you're just going to add accordingly. And fuel in the Northwest and the Midwest often is treated to some extent, but you still want to add more additive to it. Stay safe. It is super expensive to degel a truck. Not only are you down like your time, you're sitting here twiddling your thumbs waiting for somebody to come fix your truck, get it all cleaned up, fix the fuel filter, all that stuff because it's gelled up. But it costs quite a bit to have them come and take care of that for you. And remember your APU that runs your bunk heater, that keeps you warm, it also uses diesel. So if your truck gels up and that gels up, plus if you're a refrigerated driver, the reefer unit is using diesel. So yeah, play safe. All reminders. Speaking of reminders, just a courtesy reminder, when you are fueling or when you are going to a truck stop, make sure that you are fueling at the fuel island and not taking your 30-minute break out of respect. And I say that only because I've seen heads up or comments out there where people have done that, and I just want to make sure as a professional driver here at Decker that we are respectful of others and that we are taking our 30-minute away from the fuel island. Let it fuel up, do your thing, but take your break away from it. Okay. All right. George says, good information on today's Q&A. Thank you. Yes, you have a great rest of your week too. George, I love having you here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for being here today. As you know, I get long-winded, and if you have more questions, feel free to ask. 877-433-2537. I want to make sure that we're answering all those questions for you so that you're coming in to orientation and joining the company well-informed. No surprises, right? It's always good. George says, yes, no shower break at the fuel island. I know. We don't want to do that. So just a courtesy, sign of respect for everybody. There's lots of those. Shout out to all of our professional drivers who are there supporting each other and looking out for each other as well. You guys, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I didn't even say that. So I do hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we're back to work, right? Full speed. If you guys have questions, 877-433-2537. Thank you so much for joining me today. We will see you next week. And of course, you can join us on Facebook on Monday at 4 p.m. Central as well. Before I leave, Jason says, do you require TWIC cards at Decker? We don't, but we can help you get one too because we do have some ports that we work with. So if you need one, we can help get that. Yeah, but it's not required. Yeah. Okay, cool. Have an awesome rest of your day, you guys. Be safe and please stay warm.